introduction.
Okay, hi everyone. I am Fred Schultz. I am running for president. We're doing my first town hall here with a bunch of teenagers I met on the beach in some undesignated city so that, you know, we have some privacy. But this is in the United States. Anyway, yeah, so why am I running? First of all, I'm only going to talk for like 5 minutes and then we'll take questions for like 5 or 10 minutes. I'm a lawyer. This is my I've been running for 18 years, sadly, as a write-in. Now I'm finally on the ballot in the Democratic side, but to get to this next debate, of course, I need to get, well, it's looking like I'm going to need to get $130,000 donations. And anyway, so why am I running? Why am I so much better than all these other people? All these other politicians, they don't understand that the reason why we have these 50 people dying on our streets every day, while we've had 2.5 million people killed south of our border and these poor refugees are running for their lives, why we have 30,000 people dying on the streets of fentanyl every year now, this is all because we made drugs illegal about 100 years ago. And of course, about 50 years ago, Nixon ramped up the war on drugs, and you know we have now 2.4 million people in our jails. We have 80 million people about with a criminal record now, and I'm the only person running who believes that these laws are unconstitutional, because I believe that the Constitution and the Universal Declaration of Human Rights and all of that says that we have the right to do to our bodies as we wish, without anybody bothering us. We have the right to do to our bodies as we wish. So that's why I'm running, guys. And I intend to pardon about 2 million people, and, well, free 2 million people from jail who are slaves in jail, and pardon about 70 million people. That's what I'd like to do. And as far as other things, I've been pushing for a wealth tax for about 18 years, which Elizabeth Warren copied my idea, but she made it she wants a $2.5 trillion wealth tax. I want a $10.5 trillion wealth tax. And that will make it so we can have things like free college, public and private, free med school, free law school, and we could have, a year or 2 or 3 of public service in return, because that's fair. What else? I intend to bring all the troops home from overseas, or most of them, stop all the overseas wars. We still need to keep some in South Korea and Europe right now because of Putin and Kim Jong-un and all that stuff. But overall, I want to end all these wars day one. And when I have things like free health care, free child care, all of that stuff. But the main difference is I'm the only one who will end the war on drugs, and then we can stop all these people suffering south of our border and in our country, and then we can do economic development instead. And as far as teenagers go, I have been fighting to give teenagers human rights the same as everybody else for 18 years. However, the nation does not go along with me on this right now, and I realize that we're going to need to get at least 100 million people to go along with us. So I am willing to compromise and just say to give the vote to 16-year-olds, because that has gained a lot of traction in Congress lately, and even that still only has 15% of the population behind it right now. So even that is going to be a battle, but I think we can start by giving 16-year-olds the vote, and then we'll take it from there to hopefully give teenagers or at least 16-year-olds full human rights, and we'll take it from there. So I want to ask you guys, number one, ask me any question you want. Number two, I want to know, what do you think of the idea? Do you think that 16-year-olds can handle voting? And number two, do you think that 16-year-olds can handle, full human rights? Or do you think it's just better to give you the vote and then wait to have the rest of your human rights as adults kick in when you're 18, which is the current law? So any questions you want, I will take. And let's open it to the floor, to the sound.
Yeah, Fred.
What is my main goal? Good question. I want to make the country one that works for everybody instead of just working for the super wealthiest. Because I don't know if you know this, but like right now in our country, the wealthiest 0.1% of the population owns 20% of the nation's wealth. The wealthiest 1% of the population owns 40% of the nation's wealth. The wealthiest 10% of the nation owns 75% of the nation's wealth. And the poorest 50% of the country owns 1% of the nation's wealth. And the poorest 40% of the nation has a negative net worth. So I want to make it one that works for everybody. I want to make it a nation that brings out the best in all of us, that really brings out the best in all of us. So that's why I want free college, free med school, free grad school, public and private. Because right now it's just hurting a lot of us. Right now it's that a few people are doing very well and most of us are not. So I want to make it a country that respects our human rights too. Our human rights to do to our bodies as we wish. If I want to, smoke some marijuana, that's my right. If I want to, have some opium, that's my right. But the problem is when you make these things illegal, the problem is then when you make them illegal, then people go to these prescription drugs. Those are highly concentrated and they're also synthetic. If you make them legal, then you could have, natural opium, you could have natural coca, you could have natural marijuana, instead of all these synthetic and these concentrates. And also you would stop all these accidental overdoses, because when it's illegal, or even if you tax it, that keeps a black market. When there's a black market, then you have people doctoring stuff, and what they doctor it with, what they cut it with is fentanyl, because it has a strength, even though it's a lot of strength per volume. And then you have people dying. I mean, I don't know if you know this, the number of cocaine deaths in our country, it's only 7,500, but that's a lot. But the year before it was 5,500. So it went from 5,500 to 7,500 in 1 year, because all these drug dealers have started to cut it with fentanyl. If you make it legal, then you shut out the drug dealers. Now, if we have to, we can even give it away for free. I believe that if that's what it takes to shut down the drug dealers, that's how you do it. It's much better to do it that way than with police, who interdict way less than 1% of the illegal drugs in our country. So it's not even working. All it works to do is to lead to poisoning and death. And we don't want that anymore. One of my best friends died of an accidental overdose, probably with fentanyl, and I don't want that to happen to anybody else ever again. So that's where I'm coming from. Okay, next question here. And film them too. Film them too a bit. So, next question. Who wants to ask a question?
Here, I'll go.
Oh, they're back. You can ask. Want me to film you? No? Or...
I don't have a question. I don't know what to say.
Oh, okay. Any question? Any question you want?
Should I stop the video?
Wait. You guys have a question for me? I'm doing the press conference.
Yeah, right now?
Seth, do you have a question?
No.
Here, come on, Sammy.
What are you going to do that Donald Trump isn't already doing?
Oh, that's very good.
Okay.
Okay, and I will. The reason why we have. First of all, I will close these concentration camps he has for all these refugees running for their lives.
Yeah.
Number two thing I will do is I will stop the flow of these refugees by legalizing drugs and instead doing a strong economic development south of our border.
Yeah.
I'm going to respect all of our human rights, and I'm going to tax the richest people in the country so that the rest of us can just survive. That means a small wealth tax will yield about $10 trillion, maybe $15 trillion, but at least $10 trillion, so we can have things like free college, free law school, free healthcare, free childcare, free housing, free jobs. I want jobs for everyone.
Yeah, jobs.
I want to guarantee jobs for everyone.
Yeah.
I think that's the most important thing we can do for people.
Yeah.
Yes, should have a guaranteed minimum income if you're poor. That's important, but the main thing people want is jobs, and I'll guarantee jobs for everyone. I'll clean up the environment, and I'll fix the infrastructure of our country, and we'll have guaranteed jobs for everyone, and I'm going to pardon the 2 million people in jail for victimless crimes, and people just in for sentences that are too long, and who are slaves right now, and they're being tortured in jail every day, and I'll pardon about 70 million people with a criminal record out of 80 million so that they can have a second chance in life and have real freedom and real lives again. I'll give us freedom, and I'll help each of us raise to our human potential.
Okay.
And I'll lock him up.
Yeah.
For his human rights abuses.
Hell yeah.
And for stealing and for just his human rights abuses he alone.
What are you gonna do about the immigrants? What's happening with the immigrants? Right
Well,
now?
by legalizing drugs and ending the war on drugs, day one, we will stop, and we have to encourage our southern neighbors to stop this war on drugs.
For sure.
And then do economic development instead, and do economic development in their nations. As far as those who are here, they should all be allowed to stay, every one of them. And I think we can let in easily 2-3 million more a year. Right now we let in about 1 million with green cards. I'd like to let in 2-3 million. Our country needs immigrants. We only have right now 3 people working per retiree. That's ridiculous. You can't have 3 people working per retiree. That means Social Security will collapse. So I want to let in more immigrants. Wherever immigrants come to our nation, they help our nation thrive. They've rejuvenated lots of small cities, small towns across our nation. Immigrants have always been the strength of our nation, and they will always be the strength of our nation. And we can easily let in more. The only way we're going to do well economically in the future is to let in a few million more a year, 1 or 2 million more a year, easily. So instead of 1 million, 2 or 3 million more a year, and everybody here stays. Now, as far as preventing the people from crossing the border, I do believe we should have strong borders. I do believe in strong borders. It doesn't have to be a wall. It can be a wall. It can just be a strong border. But I do believe that's important. But everybody here should stay, and we should let in everybody who's seeking asylum. And as I said, we should even let in 2 or 3 million more a year. So.
Okay. It's
Cool.
at like 11 minutes.
Okay, that's good enough. Do you want any more questions you guys have? No? Okay, I love you all. Please vote for me. Wait, he has one more question.
So weed will be legal for every age to do?
Okay, I think that that's a good question. Very good question. Sadly, I think that we have to have a cutoff age, just because I don't think that there should be criminal penalties. I don't, but I think we have to have a cutoff age, just because it is not I know it's not healthy. It's just not healthy. I don't want to have.
What age should that cutoff age be?
I think it should be personally around the age of 16.
16?
Yeah, or maybe but if the country, but it's not up to me. It would have to be up to the country. If we go to 18, 18 is reasonable.
Yeah, I think
18 is reasonable, but I would settle for 6. I think it is. I would settle for 18. But however, I don't believe that there should be crime. I don't believe that there should be crime. I don't believe that there should be jail attached to it. I'll tell you this. You know what the most deadly? First of all, you know how many people weed has killed in all of human history?
0.
Probably 0.
0.
It is 0. You know how many people?
Actually, no.
You know, wait.
One person died, and that was because there's Xanax in it.
Okay. You see, that's the problem. When you make drugs illegal, people put other things in it. A friend of mine once, he thought he was smoking weed, but a friend of his had laced it, hated him, pretended to be a friend, hated him, sprayed Raid on it, and he has been in extreme pain. He had to move. He's in such extreme pain. He had to move to Mexico to get his opium.
Mexico is where all that happens.
At
the bars, the drug the girls.
Dude, yeah, so...
It's horrible.
Yeah.
You see, by keeping things illegal, people get drugged. By the way, do you know what the most dangerous drug known to humankind
What
is?
is the most dangerous drug?
And the most deadly?
What the fuck
Sugar.
is... What is
Sugar.
it?
Sugar!
Fuck sugar!
And wheat is really bad. Wheat is up there with sugar. But sugar, you know how many people... You know how many people sugar kills worldwide a year?
How many?
About 36 million. It's
Holy
responsible
shit.
for about 2/3 of all deaths. You know how many people weed has killed? 0. You know how many people all illegal drugs combined kill?
How many?
In the worldwide?
How many?
200,000 compared to 36 million for sugar. So, do I think that people shouldn't be doing this stuff? Yeah, but you know what? The people are giving children the most deadly drug in the world. It's 8 times more addictive than cocaine. Sugar!
I love sugar.
Yeah, you see? Enough already. This is bullshit. I don't think people should be giving children sugar, but I don't want to go out and arrest all the Girl Scouts either, and their mothers.
Yep. Fruits and vegetables are more expensive than junk food.
That's right. That's the government making, because of the lobbyists making sugar cheap. That's the only tax I want to have on regular people. I want to double or triple or make it sugar tax. Who cares? 10 times.
Yep.
Shut it down.
Shut it down.
Shut that shit down.
Shut that shit down!
Fuck them. Sugar's the killer. Sugar. And you know what else they drug? They drug all these poor children like you on Ritalin. Ritalin and Adderall. These people are full of shit.
Right.
Fuck Ritalin. Fuck Adderall.
Fuck Ritalin!
That's speed. That's legal speed, and I've had enough of it. I have had
Dude, I got a D on my test.
salvia. Oh, that's natural. I tried it once. It was horrible. Oh, I hated it. Yeah, I know. You see, that's the problem. They make the shit stuff legal and the good stuff illegal. They're crazy.
They're crazy.
I want to legalize everything just so that the cops aren't out there busting people, so that people are, so that there isn't a black market, so that there isn't gangs, so that there isn't shootings on our streets, and there isn't accidental overdoses. Legalizing will stop all of that. Day one.
But the cops are busting down on jail.
Should we end it?
I don't want cops busting down on sugar. I just don't want people doing it.
Do you,
I mean, that's the thing. I just don't want people doing
I
it.
wanna
just
end
want
it now?
everything to be good and happy, and for the teens just to be clean and good.
Yes, I highly advocate.
everybody
not
vote for Fred.
to, woo!
Vote for Fred. Fred. Okay.
I highly advocate, I have to say, I highly advocate doing none of this stuff. I have shifted to a diet now of 3/4 vegetables, 1/4 fish, no caffeine, no alcohol, although I broke it the other day and had a beer, no weed, although I might have broken that the other day.
Yeah, yesterday.
I might have broken that the other day. But we're having no... Overall, it's about health, and happiness, and joy, and community.
Exactly.
Instead of war and attacking each other, this would be about bringing out joy and bringing out the best in all of us, and love.
Fuck yeah.
And no more slavery, and no more torture, and no more wars.
No more.
And no more wars, and no more slavery. We're going to
Vote
free
for
the
Fred.
slaves and free the people now.
Yeah.
And fuck Trump!
Fuck Trump.
Lock him up!
Wait.
Woo!
Hey, fuck Trump!
Fuck Trump!
No, okay. No vote from me.
Yeah, well, luckily you can't vote. By the time you can vote, you'll change your mind, bro. Start reading the newspaper, maybe, instead of whatever else you do with your time. Okay.
That's it. Vote for Fred. Fuck yeah.